Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad-padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Veda Vivagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Gukarastvandhakaro Vai Rukarastannivartakaha Andhakara Nirodhitvat Guru-Nitya-Vidiyate Sadashiva-Samarambham Shankaracharya-Madhyamam Asmadacharya-Paryantam Vande Guru-Paramparam. Now we go to the mantra number 19 on the page 10. Many of you may be familiar with this mantra because it is traditionally chanted while showing the camphor light before the Lord in the temples. It is in answer to a question on the part of Nachiketa as to whether the Lord shines or does he shine variously. So this mantra describes how the self or Brahman or consciousness shines as well as shines variously. So let us read that mantra, number 19. न तत्र सूर्यो भाति न चन्द्रतारकम् नेम विद्युतो भान्ति कुतोऽयमग्निः तमेव भान्तम् अनुभाति सर्वम् तस्य भासा सर्वमिदं विभाति. न तत्र सूर्यः भाति. See the translation, Surya na bhati, the sun does not shine. Tatra, there. Na chandra tarakam, nor the moon nor the stars shine there. Naima vidyutah bhanti. These strokes of flashes of lightning also do not shine. Kutoyam agni. Then what to talk of? This local agni or the fire in the form of this lamp. So here are listed all the luminaries. The well-known luminary, the sun is a luminary, the moon, the stars, the lightning, the fire, all the luminaries known at that time or even at this time which illumine the entire universe. None of these luminaries shine there or illumine the self. The sun does not illumine the self, the moon does not illumine the self, the stars, the lightning, the fire. What is meant by that? For us to see anything, we require the light. And the light comes from sun during the day, moon during the night, fire when sun and moon are not there, stars, lightning. So these provide the light with which we see. What is meant is that to see the self or the Atma, you do not require any light. When do you need the light to see something? When it does not shine on its own, and to see or to know any objects in the world, we require light. For example, to see this color or form, we require a light, external light to illumine. Plus we require the light of the eyes to illumine. That is how perception takes place. So how does perception take place? How do we see things? When the light from the eyes reaches an object, then this color is illuminated for us, and that's how the perception of this color takes place. Because this color or an object such as this cannot reveal itself. Meaning that on its own it cannot become the object of our knowledge unless we illumine that, meaning that when I look at the object and I illumine the object through the light of my eyes, that is when the object becomes the object of perception. On its own, it cannot become the object of perception. But do the eyes possess also a light, independent light? And says no, the eyes are also illumined by the mind. Meaning that eyes can see provided there is mind behind the eyes. Otherwise it is possible that something is there in front of me and still I do not see if my mind is elsewhere, if I am absent-minded. So the object, such as color, is illumined by the corresponding sense organ such as eyes. The eyes in turn are illumined by the mind, and the mind in turn also is illumined, because the mind consists of the thoughts, and the thoughts also are known to me. The thoughts also are illumined, and they are illuminated by what? By the light of consciousness. So light of consciousness, and who is the light of consciousness? Myself. I am the light of consciousness, self-shining, self-effulgent, which first illumines the mind. The mind, in turn, illumines the sense perception or sense organ such as eye, and that in turn illumines its corresponding objects such as color or form. This is how perception takes place. If any one of these elements is absent, then the perception does not take place. If my organ of perception is not functioning, then also perception cannot take place. The organ of perception is there, says I, but if the mind is not there, meaning that mind is not behind the eyes, then also perception cannot take place. And unless the mind is illumined by the consciousness, then also it doesn't take place. Therefore, what illumines everything? It is the light of consciousness that illumines everything through the mind and through the sense organs. Nana chidra ghatodara sthitamaha deepa prabhavaswaram ज्ञानम यस्यदु चक्षुरादिकरण द्वारा बहिस्पंदते. ज्ञानम यस्यदु चक्षुरादिकरण द्वारा बहिस्पंदते, describing that the self, the consciousness, बहिस्पंदते, which reaches out through karana dwara, through the gateways of the sense organs, and illumines the universe. This is how Vedanta explains how the perception takes place. That something can be known only when it is illumined by the light of consciousness. Nothing is self-effulgent. Nothing can make itself known to me unless the light of consciousness illumines that. Those birds are making all kinds of chirping sounds. You do not necessarily hear them if the mind is focused on something. We don't hear what's around anywhere. Then when I mention the birds, and perhaps you may direct your attention there. Yes, I can hear them. Meaning that hearing takes place only when the organ of perception called the hearing organ and the mind, all of this is there. Which means that the objects do not have the freedom to become the object of my knowledge unless I choose to know them. Understand that? If they had the freedom to be known to me, then they will simply, crowd my mind from all directions and I'll go crazy. There are so many sounds around, but they do not come. Only when I focus my attention, that sound comes. So many forms are there all over, but only the form which I pay attention to becomes object of my knowledge. This is important. It's good also. We will go crazy. If the things could reveal themselves without my involvement, then they would simply impact me constantly and then I would go crazy. But no, only that which I choose to pursue becomes an object of perception. Because objects are not self-shining. They are illumined by me through the mind and the sense organs. And that is what is meant here. Even the sun also cannot make itself known to me unless my eyes illumine the sun. And so also moon, and the stars, and the lightning, and the fire, all those luminaries also cannot reveal themselves to me unless I illumine them through the light of my eyes, through the mind and the consciousness, meaning it is consciousness that illumines the entire universe. The universe, including the luminaries, is not self-shining. In Vedanta it is called Jada or Paraprakasham. It doesn't have the nature of revealing itself, it needs to be revealed. The fact that perception takes place, knowledge takes place, means that there is something that reveals everything. And what is that? This verse says, Tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam. The self shines. The eye is self-shining. No effort is needed to know that I am. It's a very important thing. The I reveals itself and therefore always becomes the object of my knowledge. It cannot be that I am not aware of myself. I am always aware because I am myself shining. Jnanamiri tameva bhantam anubhat chetat samastam jagat. That I am, I shine. So this is an important fact. The only thing that is self-shining, self-effulgent, self-revealing is I am. And everything else shines in the light of I am. Tameva bhantam, the I, the self shines, anubhati sarvam. Everything else shines in the light of the self, in the light of consciousness. So either you can say that the sun and the moon do not shine there, or you can say that you do not require sun or a moon or any luminary to illumine that because it is self-illuminating. Not only that, but those luminaries like sun and moon which seem to illumine the whole universe also illumine because they themselves are illuminated by the consciousness. So consciousness illumines the sun, which in turn illumines everything else. You can even say that consciousness itself shines as the sun, which in turn illumines everything else. The sun shines in the light of consciousness, just as the bulb shines with electricity. So everything shines in the light of consciousness. So consciousness is self-shining. And who is that? I am that consciousness. The sun, moon, or no luminaries are required to illumine the self or the I. On the other hand, I illumine everything. I am self-shining. I am. So two things are being told here. That the self shines, bhati, and illumines everything also. Or the sun shines and shines as all with the whole universe. It is conscious alone that shines in the whole universe. So Nachiketa wanted to know whether can I know the Atma? The answer is yes, you are the very knowledge. You are always self-shining, self-revealing, and therefore you don't need to illumine yourself by eyes or ears. Meaning that, now, what is the sun and moon, etc., at the luminary level? At the individual level, they also can be said to be your organs of perception and action. Because sun is the presiding deity of the faculty of eyes. So what is sun at the cosmic level are the eyes at the individual level. The moon is the presiding deity of mind. So what is moon at the cosmic level is the mind at the individual level. Fire is the presiding deity of the organ of speech. So what is fire at the cosmic level is speech at the individual level. Sun does not illumine, meaning eyes do not illumine the self. Moon does not illumine, means the mind does not illumine the self. Fire does not illumine, the speech does not illumine the self. Meaning that Atma cannot be objectified by the eyes or organs of perception. Atma cannot be objectified by the mind. Atma cannot be described by the words. Then how do we know that? You don't have to know it because it is of the nature of knowledge. It is always shining. I am always self-shining. And therefore, what Upanishad says that we do not require the organs of perception, we do not require the mind, we do not require the speech, we do not require organs of action. in order for either eliminating or grasping the self, which is self-illuminating. It shines and illumines everything. It shines and shines as all the luminaries. It shines and shines as the whole universe. What is just consciousness. Even what appears to be matter also is nothing but manifestation of consciousness. So this verse says that what is consciousness. That is the reality of the universe, and that is myself. That is how, thus, that consciousness with myself is one and non-dual, because there is nothing other than consciousness. This verse is chanted, and so much so in the temples in South India in particular. So I'm sure many of you must have visited those temples, the huge temples. And before you can reach the sanctum, you have to circumambulate, there are so many prakaras, and so many different layers are there, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then finally sometimes 3, 4, 5, and then you can reach the sanctum which is in the center. So sanctum is in a place where there is no external light, and those fellows are so miser that there is no light inside also, there is no electricity anyway, number one, that illumines the deity. All they have are some oil lamps. And more often than not, just one oil lamp is burning in the sanctum. Usually the deity, the form is made of granite which is black. This darkness in that sanctum, in that room where the Lord is installed. And therefore, when you go and stand before the Lord, first of all, the eyes are, because of glare of the outside world, as it is, eyes cannot see, and when you stand in front of the Lord, you don't see anything in the beginning. Then slowly as eyes get trained, then you see very faint outlines of the deity. In the faint light of that lamp, one oil lamp is burning there in that light. Why don't you burn many oil lamps? No. That light will affect. The light will have influence upon the stone, and therefore minimum light is there. So then you see the outlines of deity as the eyes get somewhat trained. And then you see all the shining things because the deity is wearing, or they offer him so many ornaments, and those ornaments just shine in the light of the lamp. So first you see the shining ornaments, the glories of the Lord. And as the eyes get tuned, you see the faint outline of the Lord. And then fortunately the priest comes and then shows for you that light of camphor. Shows it on the face of the Lord, chanting this, Na tatta suryo bhati na chandrataragam. Oh Lord, the sun cannot illumine you, the moon cannot illumine you, nor the stars, nor the lightning. Then what to talk of this fire that I am showing? It cannot illumine you. You are shining, everything shines after you. So this mantra is chanted while showing the light, and that's how you have the darshan of the Lord in the light of that camphor lamp. And therefore that priest represents a guru who illumines or lights the lamp of knowledge in which you see the swarupa or the form of the Lord. So symbolically the guru illumines the light of, so gukaras tundakaro Rukaras tan nivardakaha. And you saw the word guru is made up of two letters gu and ru, where gu stands for the darkness and ru stands for that which dispels the darkness. And since he removes the darkness of ignorance in our heart, he is called the Guru. So there that priest stands for the Guru, who lights the lamp of knowledge. So thus this verse says that what there is consciousness that is self-shining as your own self. In that light everything shines, or the light itself shines as everything. And this is how the second section of the second chapter of Kathopanishad also is over. Now we come to the last section of the Kathopanishad. There are 2 chapters, and each chapter has 3 sections called the Valli. And now we are in the final Valli of the final section, third section of the second chapter. Again, the mantra with which the section begins offers a method of contemplation upon the self. In that sense, Kathopanishad is a very valuable text because it gives us variety of models, a variety of imageries which help us to contemplate upon the nature of the self. So here now we come to a very famous imagery of the tree of samsara. The universe of samsara is compared to a tree. Is not universe where the whole life is compared to the tree. And what is about the tree is that what you see or perceive as a tree, but you know very well that tree cannot be unless the roots are, and therefore even if you do not perceive the roots, you know that roots are there, you can infer the presence of the roots from the presence of the tree. The roots are the cause and the tree is the effect. So from the effect you know, or you can infer, or you can arrive at the knowledge of the cause. So that's kind of method that is employed here to help us again understand or know the truth or reality. So now let us read the 20th mantra on the page 11. ऊर्ध्वमूलः अवाक्शाखः एषोऽश्वत्थः सनातनः तदेव शुक्रम् तद्ब्रह्म तदेवामृतमुच्यते तस्मिन् लोकाः शिराः सर्वे तदु नात्येति कश्चन. Urdhvamulaha, the one of which the roots are above. Urdhva means above, mula roots, urdhvamulaha, the one of which the roots are above. Avak shaka, shaka means branch, avak means below, of which the branch or branches are below. It's a very peculiar kind of tree. The conventional tree has the roots below and the branches above, isn't it? However, this root of samsara has, the tree of samsara has its root above and branches below. We are chanting the 15th chapter. The very first verse is Urdhmulam Adashakam Ashwattham Prahu Avyayam. That verse has its source in this mantra of Kathopanishad. where this life is described as tree. The universe and our life is described as tree. You can say this samsara is described as tree. The beautiful thing is that, well, as we said, what we experience is the tree, but we know that there is the root, and the tree is because of the root. Now, what is the nature of root? It says, Urdhva Mulaha, the root is above, the branches are below. The above and below is not to be understood in the sense of space, that the root is above in space and branches are below in space. What is understood above is also used in the sense of satta. Satta means the authority. That one who enjoys authority also is called above, and one having lower authority is called below. Particularly in Indian government circles. So by management, by the rule of management, by the order of coming from above, means from the higher authorities. So above means that which enjoys a higher authority, a higher power, a higher satta, higher reality. And below means that which enjoys lower authority or lower reality. So here above means that which enjoys a higher reality, below means that which enjoys a lower reality. When I am standing in front of the mirror, there are two Swamis. One Swami is this image, other Swami is a reflection. One Swami enjoys higher reality, other Swami enjoys lower reality. The image is real and then enjoys higher reality. You can call it above. The reflection is only a reflection, an appearance. Is mithya, lower reality. So satyam is higher, the mithya is lower. So urdhva mulaha, avak shakaha. This tree or samsara or the universe has a root above is satyam, the absolute truth, and avak shaka, all these branches, the universe that we see is below, meaning having a lower reality, is mithya. So what we perceive is mithya. That we discussed a number of times. What is mithya? Mithya means an appearance. Something that is constantly changing. And that is also the reason why the universe or samsara is compared to a tree, and particularly ashwatha. Ashwatha means people tree. Ficus religiosa, that's what the name is, and so it's a religious tree anyway. It's a ficus tree, a fig tree. There is a class of fig trees, and this is also one of that. Like banyan tree is also a fig tree, and this is also, this people also is a fig tree. Some of you may have seen that people tree. Its leaves are very large, and branches are not so thick. So you find that the branches, as though because of the weight of the leaves, the branches as though bends down. And because the leaves are very large, therefore even a slight breeze also creates a movement. So generally speaking, this tree, that is people tree, is usually moving. And those leaves, because they sort of collide with each other, because of friction, there's always some sound coming from there. Particularly at night, when everything else is quiet. And then this tree makes some sound, therefore it is believed that a ghost always lives there. In fact, it is a very auspicious tree. Lord Krishna says, Ashwatha Sarvavrikshanam, among all the trees, I am the Ashwatha tree or the people tree. It is said to be that in which There is the Lord, in fact, dwells in that. It's a dwelling place for the Lord. All along, it is Vasudeva, the Lord, that dwells in the tree. So that way also, the samsara vriksha is the one which is dwelt by Vasudeva. Vasanad Vasudevasya Vasitam Bhuvanatrayam. The entire universe is dwelt by Vasudeva, the Lord. Sarvabhuta Nivasosi Vasudeva Namastude. You are the one who dwells in the self of all, and therefore, He Vasudeva, my salutation to you. So in a way, this tree of samsara is also auspicious. It is also sacred because of one who dwells in that. Even though this body-mind sense complex may not be very sacred because this body in fact is made up of very filthy stuff actually. It is packed very well and therefore looks very pretty, but just go below the skin, below the package, and it's all very filthy. And what comes out of every opening of this body also is filthy. But in this filthy thing, the one that dwells the self is nothing but the most auspicious. You know Lord Shiva dwells in the midst of all inauspicious things. The cremation ground is said to be the dwelling place of Lord Shiva. Most inauspicious because we never go there. If you go there, we will take bath. And there are funeral pyres and fires are burning all around him. And the only ornament that Lord Shiva has is collected from the funeral pyre. Very inauspicious, very impure. Those are the things that even if you touch anything, then you have to take bath. This is traditionally what is believed. The ashes you only want to touch, that is smears on his body. It is said that his attendants are all ghosts and goblins. And they always dance around him. They drink blood and eat flesh. That's how they are. Again, very impure and inauspicious. Snakes are crawling on his body. The poison is in his neck. Amangalyam Shilam Tav, and then he's wearing a garland of skulls. Wearing garland of skulls. Amangalyam Shilam. O Lord, everything around you or about you is inauspicious. But for those who really know you, you are the most auspicious. The most auspicious in the midst of inauspicious. The most auspicious, that is the reality of the inauspicious. So what is apparently inauspicious, but then one who dwells in them is the most auspicious one. So even though the tree of samsara may appear to us inauspicious because there is variety, diversity, disparity, there seems to be pleasure and pain, all these pairs of opposites. And that's to be nothing but if you look upon that or depend upon that for your safety and security, then there is nothing but sorrow. In this kind of universe, in this kind of samsara, what is in the womb of all of this? What is the content of all of this? What is the truth of it? Is Urdhva is most auspicious. The limitless self or Brahman is the one that dwells in this, in the tree of samsara. Is not evident. Just as the root is not evident, also the auspicious, the limitless is not evident in all this limited samsara. But to draw our attention to that is the purpose of this imagery of the tree of samsara. The way the tree is, the effect is, the cause must be there. Urdhumulam, urdhumula, adashaka, isha, Ashwatha, Sanatana. The Ashwatha, the people tree in the samsara, he says Sanatana is eternal in a relative sense. The samsara will go on and on and on. It is there from the time beginningless, and it will perpetuate forever. As long as ignorance is there, this samsara will perpetuate. In that sense, they say it is sanatana, it is eternal. But not eternal in the sense that Brahman is eternal, it is because it is negatable, it can be, in the light of knowledge, the ignorance goes away, the samsara does not remain. In that sense, it can be brought to an end, but unless something is done, as long as ignorance is, the samsara is as though perpetual. The samsara also is compared to tree. Tree is called vruksha in Sanskrit. Vruksha. Vrashanat vruksha. Vrasha means that which can be felled is called vruksha. So thank God that the tree of samsara can be cut asunder. Asanga shastrena dhrena chitva, as Bhagavad Gita says. Rupamasche tathopalabhyate nanto chade nacha sampratishtha. There is no beginning of the samsara, nor is there an end, nor it is possible to determine what it is because it is constantly changing. Even if you determine what it is at one moment, the next moment it is different, it is changing even as you are looking at it. Drishtanastasvabhava. Therefore you cannot really say what this is. You cannot arrive at a definite conclusion about what is because it is constantly changing. Therefore, the reason why the samsara is described in this manner is to draw our attention to the fact that it is constantly changing, is something that cannot be determined to be so and so, meaning it is not real, and therefore you do not depend upon that. You do not think that you can get what you are seeking through samsara, and therefore better give it up. In case of the tree, we can only investigate what the root is only when you give up the tree. When you give up the tree, then you can investigate what the root is. Similarly also, to investigate what the root of the samsara or life is, we have to give up the tree, meaning there must be vairagya. Asanga shastrena dhrena chitva, asangata, detachment. The reason why the samsara is presented in this manner is for us to know that it is constantly changing, indeterminable, not real, and therefore it cannot give me what I am seeking, which we have been discussing all these days, that what I am seeking is in fact unconditional happiness or freedom, and everything in this universe is conditional, relative, and therefore it cannot give me what I am seeking. As long as I am chasing the happiness, etc., through samsara, it's going round and round from one birth to the other. So when we analyze thus the nature of the samsara, when we realize that it is mithya, or it is not something that can become the means of what I am seeking, then you become disillusioned by that. It is because of illusion that I think that samsara is real, is source of my happiness and security. But when I really understand that, I realize that that is not so. I become disillusioned. That's called nirvedamaya. When one just analyzes things, then whatever expectations one had, all of them drop off. One becomes disillusioned. And that is how you give up the samsara in the sense that you give up that as a means of your success or happiness. Give up doesn't mean that you hate samsara. You just let it go. Let it be where it is. I have nothing to do with it. And that's how the mind, which is so far running outwardly, then becomes inward looking. Avrutta chakshuhu. So this, the samsara, is described as a tree. For us to do viveka or discrimination about our life, to realize that what we are doing, in fact, The way we are doing, the way we are seeking to achieve success is futile because that from which I am expecting success has no capability of giving because it is mithya, unreal. And this is how, by this viveka, the vairagya arises. And that's how now my mind no more runs or chases things out there. And slowly it becomes inward looking. Avrutta chakshu. So Vivek told how now a discriminating person turns his mind inwards. That is how it is by Viveka and Vairagya that you become free from the raga, dveshas, and the mind becomes inward looking, meaning that mind becomes abiding in the self, called uparati. Then you know what the nature of the reality is. You are the reality. You are the one that shines and illumines everything. You are the one that gives you the existence to everything, the satta and the sphurti. You are that asti bhati priyam. You know, we have analyzed this in the past, that any object has these 5 aspects. That this is a cloth, that is a name, and there is a form corresponding to the name, nama and rupa. And further, this object is. How do you say it is? Because it shines in my consciousness, it shines, and it is dear to me because it is useful to me, it has some attractiveness, it serves the purpose. Asti bhati priyam. Thus, every object has these 5 aspects: asti, bhati, priyam, and name and form. And thus that asti, bhati, priyam, asti means existence, bhati means intelligence or consciousness, priyam means wholeness, is the most common denominator of everything, of all names and forms. These names and forms is samsara, that's the tree. The asti, bhati means the root of that samsara. What's the relationship between asti, bhati, priyam and name and form? Asti, bhati, priyam is satyam. Name and form is mithya. One is adhishthanam, other is adhyaropa. The name and form are superimposed upon the asti, bhati, priyam. So what is the universe? Asti, bhati, priyam, upon which the names and forms are superimposed. So when this is recognized, then now I focus my attention. Give up the names and forms, recognizing that they are not real. I focus my attention asti bhati priyam. But where is the asti bhati priyam? Is it out there? No. That's how the mind turns inwards. Recognize that asti bhati priyam is my own self. I am the truth of the universe. Urdhvamula, avakshaka, that most superior, the limitless root, the Satchit Asti Bhati Brahma is myself, and I alone shine as the whole universe of names and forms. That is how the non-duality is established. The names and forms are nothing but the superimposition on Asti Bhati Priyam. So one Asti Bhati Priyam, which I alone shines as the universe. That is how then you know the self is what? The second line says, Tadeva Shukram, Tad Brahma, Tadeva Amritamuchyate. The very root of what is samsara? Name and form. What's the root? Asti Bhati Priyam. And who is the Asti Bhati Priyam? Is nothing but my own self. What is the further characteristic of Asti Bhati Priyam of the self? Tadeva Shukram. That alone is Shukram. See the translation. Shukram, that which is pure consciousness. Shukram, Shubhram, Shuddham, Jyotishmat. Shukram is that which is resplendent, which is pure, which is self-shining. So the self is self-shining, ever pure, ever effulgent, ever resplendent. That Brahma and that self is nothing but Brahman, the limitless. So see how again this passage reveals the identity of the consciousness, the self and Brahman, Tadeva Brahma. Tad Brahma Tadeva Amritamuchyate. Who am I? I am Shukram, Shuddham, Deeptimat, self-shining, self-effulgent. I am Brahma, the limitless, because word Brahma means boundless. Bruh means that which grows and which then grows without any boundaries. So Brahman means that which is boundless. Tadeva Amritamuchyate. That alone is called Amritam, the immortal. Amrita means death. Amrita, deathless or immortal. That alone is called immortal. Word Amrita also means ambrosia. See, in the heaven, what they have is Amritam or ambrosia. The reason why people always wanted to go to heaven is because that's the ambrosia is there. What is ambrosia? When you partake of ambrosia, you become immortal. Amritam. You want to become immortal. So therefore those who are the denizens of heaven are called Amrita, Devata, the immortal. Human being also wants to become immortal, really. As we said yesterday also, that one thing that we do not like is death. Second thing we do not like is ignorance or foolishness or stupidity. And third thing that we do not like is sorrow or pain or unhappiness. So freedom from sorrow, freedom from death, freedom from ignorance is called immortality. So the ambrosia which you gain in heaven may give you a long life, but only relative immortality. This ambrosia which is self of Brahman, the knowledge of it gives you immortality in the primary sense. Tadeva Amritamuchyate. Tadeva Shukram, Tad Brahma, Tadeva Amritamuchyate. The third line says, Tasmin lokaha shitaha sarve. Tasmin, on that, lokaha, all these worlds, shitaha, are fixed. Means that the whole universe is fixed, or whole universe derives its existence from that. It is the ashraya, the very support of the whole universe. Adhisthanam, the very substrate of the whole universe. Who is that? That is I. I am the support of the whole universe. I am the adhisthanam, substrate of the whole. That's how you know yourself. The way, the manner in which I don't know myself is this mantra tells us that, who am I? I am that very self-shining consciousness which is the very refuge or the support or the substratum of the whole universe, which is the reality of the whole universe upon which everything is superimposed. Tasmin lokaha shita sarve, everything is supported by me, superimposed upon me. I am the very satta, spurti of the whole universe. Tadunatyeti kaschana, nothing can transcend it. Nothing can transcend me. Consciousness is like this. This is the cloth. The cloth cannot transcend the fabric. The cloth is made of fabric. The effect cannot transcend the cause. Meaning that, suppose this cloth becomes very angry and fights with the fabric and says, I'm going to leave you. I'm going to divorce from you, I'm going to leave you. And therefore, suppose that fabric, the cloth runs away from fabric, what will remain there? Like the pot running away from cloth. The effect running away from the cause cannot be, meaning that effect cannot transcend the cause, effect cannot be without the cause. So also the whole, nothing can transcend me. Nothing can be without me because I'm the content of everything. Etadvaitata, that alone is that. Hey Nachiketa, this is what you ask for. You say that there is there something called Atma? That's what I want to know. Well, yes, and this is the nature of Atma. That's the nature of the self. That's the nature of yourself. Knowing which, people become amritaha bhavanti, they become immortal. That's why the next mantra I will say, but then, so this is how this mantra, in brief we discussed here, is the source of the first several verses of the 15th chapter of the Gita, where Lord Krishna expands the meaning of this mantra in several verses and tells us ultimately, asanga shastrena dhrudena chitva tatah padam tat parimargitavyam yasmin gataha nanivartanti bhuyah. First you disconnect yourself from this samsara by recognizing that samsara is already in its own place, but then it cannot give me what I am seeking, and therefore I am disillusioned by that. I have nothing to do with that. You turn your mind away from samsara by this weapon of sangha or vairagya. Tatah padam tat parimagitavim. Then you should investigate and inquire into that padam, that abode, that destination, that goal, reaching where there is no return. Yasmin gataha nanivartanti bhuyah. Once where we have gone, there is no return. Meaning that is the ultimate abode which investigate that padam, that abode. How? Go to the teacher and sit at the feet and listen to the scripture. Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasaram. That's the way, that's called Atma Vichara. So this is what Bhagavad Gita says. Tatah padam tat parimagitavyam yasmin gataha nanivartanti bhuya tameva chadyam purusham prapadye. How do you investigate? How do you know? Tameva sadhyam purusham prapadye. I surrender unto that Paramapurusha, the primordial being from which the whole universe has emerged, which is the cause of the universe, the substrate of the universe. I surrender to that. I take refuge unto that. So it shows bhakti. That while pursuing this knowledge, there is the spirit of complete surrender to the Lord, or the one whom I want to know, whose grace I am seeking. And so on one hand, I am carrying out this vichara, Atma Vichara, and in turn that self also becomes favorable to me, and that's how the knowledge takes place. Of course, we need to prepare ourselves. Nirmana moha jita sanga doshaha adhyatma nityaha vinivritta kamaha dvandvair vimuktaha. Next time you come to a dining hall, bring your booklet here which has 15 chapters, then you know that all these verses that I am chanting are from 15 chapter only. Nirmana moha. For that we should become free from mana and moha, pride and delusion. Jita sangha dosha, we should become free from the influence of the sangha or influence, or become free from raga dvesha, influence. Because we get influence wherever we are. If things are favorable, we get influenced and become happy. Unfavorable, we get influenced and become unhappy. Jita sangha dosha, those who conquered this dosha, the defect of sangha or the contact or association. Adhyatma nityaha vinivritta kamaha, those who have made their mind free from all kama, all cravings and desires, agenda other than the self. Dvandvair vimuktaha, those who are free from the influence of dvandva, of the pairs of opposites that we talked about yesterday. Adhyatma Nityaha, those who are totally committed to the Adhyatma, to the knowledge of the self, to the Atma Vichara. Amura Gachanti Tatpadam. So Adhyatma Nityaha, Vinivritta Kamaha, Dvandvair Vimuktaha, Sukha Dukkha Sanyehi, Gachanti Muraha, Padam Avyayantat. Amuraha become free from all delusion, they attain that supreme Padam or the abode. So all of these verses, this mantra has been thus expanded by Lord Krishna in those first 5 verses of the 15th chapter. The verse that we read earlier, Na Tattva Suryo Bhati, is explained in 2 verses, again the same 15th chapter. न तद्भासयते सूर्यः न शशाङ्को न पावकः यद्गत्वा न निवर्तन्ते तद्धाम परमं मम. And later on, यदादित्यगतं तेजः जगद्भासयतेऽखिलं यच्चन्द्रमसि यच्चाग्नौ तत्तेजो विद्धि मामकम्. You can see the influence that Kathopanishad has on Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna either quotes them or explains these verses from the Kathopanishad. Earlier also in 2nd chapter the verses came. So this is how a method of contemplation is given to us by comparing the samsara of the tree and Brahman or the self as the very root of the tree, how from the tree we should go to the root, how we should make our mind self or inward looking. So this Kathopanishad provides us wonderful mantras. That is why one of the most, I shouldn't say popular, but one of the most well-known Upanishads. That is the Kathopanishad. Okay, we'll continue. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om.